it's Russ from Pilates Guy, and today just made a quick video. If you've just committed and taken a plunge to go to your first Pilates session but you don't know what to expect, and this video is really kind of directed at mat Pilates rather than reformer Pilates, so really just the mat and maybe small equipment based Pilates. What I love about the mat though is it's very simple. It tends to cost a little bit less. There's no hiding on the mat. Mat Pilates and body weight is the foundation of everything that is Pilates. And having said that, of course, mat Pilates is what I instruct. So I often get asked lots of questions when people are coming to their first sessions, like, you know, should I bring my own mat? Should I bring water? Do I need this? Would I need any other equipment and that sort of thing? And I think when you first go into something new, a session, especially something like Pilates or group exercise generally, it's good to kind of feel a bit more confident knowing what to expect before you've actually been in that environment. So I thought I'd make this quick video really covering off 8 key points just to think about before your first Pilates session. I certainly remember my first session, and for want of a better phrase, I was it before I actually got there. And then once you've kind of done one session, it all kind of starts to come together and you feel a hell of a lot more confident once you've just got that first session out of the way. But I do remember that vividly. So what do you need to know? So first off, people always ask me what they should wear. So the similarities between yoga and Pilates pretty much end with we use a mat and we don't wear shoes. Okay, so during the exercise session, it's either barefoot or you can wear socks. For a few of the exercises, you are going to want grippy socks. Okay, so you might be sliding around the place if you haven't got grippy socks. So it can be a good idea to have grip socks, or just be happy going barefoot. In some cases, if you've got an injury of the foot or a bit of instability of the ankle, then you may end up exercising with your trainers on for certain exercises and certain foot issues, but typically speaking, barefoot or socks. In terms of clothing, generally reasonably well-fitting clothing that is going to enable the instructor to check the good alignment of your spine, check to see if you've got deep arch or rounding, and just generally keep an eye on your posture. I'm not saying wear really tight-fitting clothes, but just something that is going to allow us to see the good alignment of your spine. And also, if you wear really baggy clothes, when you're in certain positions, those clothes are going to ride up and that sort of thing. So if you're not too comfortable with that, then just wearing something that's reasonably fitted is going to be a little bit better. Number 2 is the mat question, and little video I plugged there is a video I made about which mat to get. But yeah, good idea to bring your own mat. That way you don't ever have to wipe it down, and you've always got your mat to use at home, or if you go to a different class or do multiple classes a week. So it's really good to have your own mat. Having said that, with my sessions, I always bring some spare mats, so there'll always be one knocking around if you need to use one. And a lot of instructors will be the same, but some instructors won't, so always just double check that. But it would be great to have your own mat. Number 3 would be bring some water. So bring a bottle of water, or whatever you're drinking really, but ideally water. We want to stay hydrated. Although in a lot of Pilates sessions, although some you will, most of them you're not going to be absolutely dripping with sweat throughout the session. It is slow, controlled exercise. So, but because we're using the muscles in that way, it is very important generally to stay hydrated, even though we're not going to sweat buckets. So do bring some water along. Also, it'd be good to bring a small towel with you, not just in case you do break a bit of a sweat, but also certain exercises where we're lying down on our fronts with our head on the floor, or if you've got certain postural issues, it can be good to have a rolled up mat to pop under your back or under your hips when we're doing certain exercises. So it is handy to have a small hand towel or towel knocking around for any of those reasons. Plus, yes, you can dab yourself down if you need to. Also, number 4, it would be worthwhile having, if you do have them, bands or Pilates balls or blocks and that sort of thing. Don't worry about the first session because the instructor will always should have some there for new people coming in, and we don't use them in every session. But as you go along and you get used to the kind of equipment that we regularly use, it could be worth just buying your own. That way also, if you're using like my on-demand platform where you can just follow sessions at home, you'll have that equipment handy. I typically like the bands and blocks. I don't go too much with Pilates balls and that sort of thing, but other instructors will. And a lot of the times I say they'll bring it, and you can always check with this. But normally, especially initially, they're going to supply that for you. So don't stress about it too much. But yeah, once you've kind of got into it a little bit, have that equipment handy to bring along. Number 5, I would just say that be prepared that there will be a lot of information that is different, a lot of lingo, there will be stuff you haven't heard before. So we'll be talking about good alignment of the spine, we'll be talking about the principles of Pilates as well. So we will be talking about, say lengthening through your spine, having your neutral spine, having your deep core engaged. We'll talk about muscles like the transversus abdominis and the pelvic floor. So there will be a lot of new terms, concepts and ways of moving that you might not have done before. So the first session, it may feel like there's a lot of information, but very, very quickly these things become almost second nature and start to just make perfect sense, and you just start to apply them to everyday life as well as your Pilates sessions. So just be prepared that there will be some new ideas, some new information, but it will all start to come together and make sense. Number 6 there, I've just mentioned in the last point a couple of the principles like your good alignment and your core engagement and the muscles and things like that. We will talk about the principles of Pilates, and it's not necessarily important that you go and learn what these are, but they will come out through the session. So centering is an important one, it's about your core engagement. Precision is about keeping that good alignment with your spine and moving with precision. Control, moving with control, deliberate, strong movements. So these principles of breathing and the way that we breathe, there will be breathing practice recommended in the Pilates session more than likely, but you can just breathe if you find the breathing confusing, and just come back to the breathing a little bit down the line when you've got used to things. So there will be these principles plugged in, and again it's something that you just get to grips with over time. Number 7 is a funny one. So Pilates instructors, certainly pre-COVID, we're very hands-on. We'll come and drag you around the mat, we'll get you in the right position. It might be small adjustments to make with knees and things like that, shoulders. We're not quite so hands-on at the moment, although most of us are going back to it. We will always ask permission before we just dive in and grab you. So be prepared that it is quite hands-on. And the other thing I'll mention about Pilates instructors is we will come and observe. We will walk around the room and have a look how everyone's moving, how everyone's holding themselves. We're going to help people avoid injuries, keep that good alignment, and basically get the most out of their session. We will also ask you quite a lot about existing conditions and injuries, because not only can we then amend exercises and things like that to be suitable. So if you've got a shoulder injury and we've got a shoulder heavy exercise, we can always find or plug an alternative if needed. So we will ask questions. We will want to know about sort of conditions and injuries and things like that. We'll be as helpful as we can in helping you kind of overcome those injuries and be able to work around them during the session. You can ask questions. It is interactive. It isn't just the instructor speaking at you for an hour, although sometimes it might seem like that. You can ask questions at any point during the session. You just call over the instructor and say, I've got this problem, or actually I forgot to mention this injury, or actually this is just hurting. So you can fire away with any questions throughout the session, or if there's just something on it, sure, just ask. Because that question, probably someone else is thinking the same thing and has never asked. So you're going to help people by asking these questions. Another great thing, final thing, point number 8 here, is that at the end of the session, you're likely to feel quite relaxed, but having worked hard. You probably feel like energized, but pretty chilled out, focused. I used to use Pilates before I went to play rugby, so I do Pilates, quite modern, controlled, session where I'm really focused and concentrating on how I'm feeling and how I'm moving. And then when I finished the session, I felt loosened up, ready to exercise, ready to go and hit the rugby pitch, mentally focused and in the right place. So it will leave you feeling like that. You shouldn't, in theory, other than with some styles, be absolutely exhausted, sweating and not want to do anything else. It will be hard work, but all depending on kind of your individual circumstances and kind of what you do on a general daily basis, whether you're just getting into exercise, whether you're kind of seasoned in your other exercise and this is to complement it. But either way, you will come out feeling loose, feeling focused, hopefully feeling energized, but also quite relaxed at the same time. One thing I will mention as well is that you may be doing virtual sessions, which obviously has a slightly different dynamic. So if you're joining a virtual session, we still will want information about medical history and things like that. You'll probably will certainly want your small equipment handy, although if it's your first session, just check with the instructor that you go into that you're not going to need any equipment other than your mat, but you're probably going to want a mat. I've got quite a few virtual clients who are working from home, doing their sessions from home, and they're still on towels and things like that. So if you go into a real session, you probably want to upgrade from the towel to a mat, but at home, it's not really a big deal. Obviously, we can't walk around and be hands-on, but we will give feedback from the screen, from what we can see. And virtual isn't, 100% perfect. We can't see from every angle, walk around, just give you immediate little tweaks and feedback, but it is good. We can still see what you're doing and see that you're okay and have a good idea of what's going on. So hopefully this video has given you a good idea of kind of what to expect during the session. If you do have any other questions at all, please feel free to just give me a shout. It's russ@pilatesguy.co.uk, or you can just go to my website, which is www.pilatesguy.co.uk. Thanks very much for watching the video, and hopefully speak to you again soon.